Greetings, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here, Spirit Silverman, for Harmony Energy Healing. And this video today is going to be about misunderstandings, because they happen all the time, don't they? Sometimes we think we know what the other is talking about, referring to, or responding to. Sometimes we think we know, and sometimes we don't know. Okay, so, and we're at different levels of awareness of where we are along our path on many levels. Okay, so intellectually, spiritually, by the experiences we've been through and what we've learned from them, how we have healed or not healed. So in other words, how we respond or react because of triggers and things that come up that want our attention. And so we can often tell that by what our response is if we start to observe our response. Because sometimes we think everything's out there, everything's everybody else, because we recognize it in others, but we often don't recognize that in ourselves. So when we start to see our responses about something, like, do we jump in to point out the fault of something, to be judge and jury, judgmental, like tell someone they're wrong, make derogatory comments? Why do we do that? Why do we feel the need to do that? Like if someone posts something that's meaningful for them, but you see an error, okay, because of the way you were brought up culturally, religiously, or whatever, that your viewpoint differs, so you want to jump in and tell them that that's wrong. What they're doing is wrong. Okay, well, it might be right for them. Okay, so we might not be taking that into consideration when we want to come in there as judge and jury with a firing squad. Okay, and so much stuff gets misunderstood under text, via text messaging. And it's happened to me more than once, where with the work I do, I'll look at a comment and at first I think it means something like, whoa, and then I'll start to do a response to it, but I'm incorrect because I either didn't read it right or thoroughly enough to really understand what they meant, because they actually didn't mean what I thought they meant. So I'm responding to what I thought they meant, and then I either have to go back and go, oh, wait a minute, and then change it. Although we learn through the dialogue. Okay, so I might often misunderstand what's meant as, and again, someone might misunderstand something that I put down and what I meant. Okay, and what's interesting about the poetry and stuff is that from where it's written, it's usually written about something, some event, some thought, some feeling, something. And sometimes that meaning comes across, and sometimes it doesn't, and it probably doesn't matter as long as somebody gets something out of it. And so it might mean something completely different to someone else. And so they're reading it and it has a meaning to them. And they might be talking about the meaning, and then the writer might be like, okay, I'm not quite sure what they're talking about because I understand it this way. So in other words, there's maybe a little bit of I don't know. It's like a misunderstanding, I suppose. So sometimes when someone is saying something, it might not be directed toward what we think it is. Okay? They might be speaking of something else entirely, but we think they're speaking to our issue. Okay? So we never have all the knowledge that pertains to any situation. And so as we respond, if we can really try to be present and, I guess, read and reread so we have a deeper understanding of what we're responding to, so that we're not going off on the wrong thing. Like I said, and I've done that before, where I misunderstand it initially. Okay, so sometimes somebody will misunderstand something about us and then think something poorly about us, which isn't even true. So this video is just about to have more awareness of understandings. Okay, and what we're reading and how we take it and how we're responding and where that's coming from. So we might read something that's just triggering something in us. What is this, is that trying to show you? When you have this ab reaction of, like with this political stuff and even religious stuff, okay, and you have this ab reaction to something to where you have to lash out and attack it, what is that trying to show you about what is going on in you and what needs to be healed? Does it heal anything, especially yourself, to attack something that you perceive to be negative with more negativity? Probably not. So if we can begin to look more deeply at our responses, because sometimes it might be showing us when something feels like it makes us want to cry or whatever, and we don't know why. It's showing us something that wants to be processed or healed or whatever. This is a time of processing right now, big time. Stuff is coming up to be released. Things are shifting, whether we want them to or not. Little things might set us off, and it's not the little thing. It's the bigger things that we went through and we thought we did so well, but somehow we didn't process. But all that stuff we went through, and then something small sets it off, it's because there's something that wants to come out to be released. So just be aware of misunderstandings, that we might not always understand someone. Like that person that we bash because they're in that particular group, we do not know what hell they've been through. And since we don't know what they've been through, for us to, label them and throw, negative comments at them might be ignorant, unfair, and completely inaccurate. Now, sometimes if we're reacting to misinformation, that may or may not be ignorance. Ignorance is lack of information. The reason the world is in the state that it's in today is because of ignorance. If you've studied in Gnostic teachings openly, you'll understand more about what ignorance is on a deeper level, where it comes from, and why it affects people the way it does, and why we are here to be tested. Okay, so if we are operating from limited information and reacting to it, we just create more havoc and more things to be healed, oftentimes. Okay, so ignorance is incompleteness. Something is not complete. We lack information. So actually, sometimes we're not doing something from a space of being ignorant or unkind. But if we're reacting to limited information, so we're reacting to partial information, misinformation, that is a type of ignorance that we might not realize. So beware of misunderstandings, and what are your reactions trying to show you? What are you lobbing resentment toward? Can you just look deeper and see what it is in you that's screaming to be healed, so that you don't have to continue to attack other people, groups, organizations, ideas, or ideologies? That's the ego driving things oftentimes. Because we have to rise as a collective. And if we can't help each other to rise because we keep knocking each other down, it's going to take a lot longer to be in this hellacious realm of suffering. Peace.